or the prayer book that says the Shabbat on it for you. Mine's different. So the pages in brackets. That's what's most important. Page numbers that are in brackets. All the way near the back of the book, 635. Now that we're back with the guitar, we can go back to this kind of music, right? Near the bottom, near the second half of the page, the bottom of the page. Easily enough. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. That's the first part. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. For those that wish to go down the scale rather than up the scale, Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach, Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach. That part again is Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach, Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach. So high or low, whichever you prefer. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach, Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach. The words of the Psalms, Shir HaParot, Yeshuv Adonai, Et Shivat Zion, Hayu Kechomi, Az Yamale Sofinu, Ulshonenu Nina, Az Yomru V'Hagoyim, Igdiv Adonai La'asot Yimei. Back to the beginning. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, U'mivorach. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome again. Our ritual to light and bless our Shabbat candles. We're on page 120 and 121, again in the brackets, 120 and 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להגביר שבת.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Kiddush on page 123. 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei beri hakafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה לשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום
We'll remember.
Bobby?
Upcoming events. Tonight is, we have Friday night services, that's why we're all here. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. there will be Torah study on Zoom. Sunday at 10 a.m. we have bagel breakfast. Our sponsors are our own Rabbi and Lynn Roman. Hopefully Lynn is up to being with you. Wednesday, May 6th at 10 a.m. BSTC Book Club. Wednesday, May 6th at 1, Adult Education with Rabbi Norm on Zoom. You will.
That's the plan.
Okay. Saturday, May 9th at 10 a.m. there will be Shabbat services here. Tuesday, May 12th at 10 a.m. Sisterhood meeting. All sisterhood members are invited to attend. Wednesday, May 13th at 9 a.m. Men's Club will be meeting at El Patio. Wednesday, May 13th at 1, Adult Education with Rabbi Norm on Zoom. Friday, May 15th, 7 p.m.
No, there's no service on the 15th.
Oh, cancel that.
It was corrected on the calendar, but didn't get corrected on that.
Okay, there will be no services on Friday, May 15th.
That's correct.
Saturday, May 16th at 10 a.m. there will be Torah study on Zoom. And Sunday, May 17th, it's, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is a food fundraiser at Denny's. There's information on the table in the vestibule. Please take one and take it to Denny's with you, and we get a percentage of sales. And Friday, May 22nd at 7 p.m., we will be having Yisker services here.
Okay.
Okay?
Steve, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just quick
Go ahead.
quick
Oh,
addition.
Yisker.
Yeah.
Yes,
And this is open for anyone who has an interest. After bagel breakfast at about 12 o'clock, we're going to be restarting our old tradition of having Yiddish club. So anyone with an interest is invited. I'm going to be showing some videos, and we're going to be doing a little schmoozing.
I say tradition in Yiddish.
Tradition. Minhag. Minhag. Close enough.
One more thing.
Yeah, because this is of interest to all temple members, you will have hopefully received a 3-page membership survey that was sent to your homes, one for each individual member rather than per household. We'd really like to get everybody's inputs back. Ruth Ann and Steve and I have put this together. It has the blessing of the board. Basically, we're asking what you think about the programs that we have currently at the temple and what you'd like to see changed, improved, or added. So please take the time to drop those off or send them back in. Thank you.
Thank you. 124, at the top of page 124. Again, in the brackets, 124. We have entered this sanctuary and we welcome the Shabbat. Within these walls we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured as a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves, continuing together. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross the threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, please brought away into the Lord. In the brightness of Shabbat, with these settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. 142. 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharim, Malachei HaSharim, Malachei Elyon, Imelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 144. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Yalmad yibrach yidotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei kol b'yom echol, u'chayei kol beit Yisrael, u'yizman kari, imeru yehei shnei Rabbah milora, Yolam Olam Be'olmaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, Yitbar, Yitramam, Yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shmei Kudusha B'richu, Le'va min kol birchata v'shirata, Tush b'chata v'nechemata, Ta'amirat b'yalma, Again, a reminder now in this particular version of our evening service, the way it's printed in the book, as the book is open before you, we will only be reading or including one of the four quadrants, either the traditional Hebrew on the right-hand side, or the translation of the traditional Hebrew, or one or the other of the interpreted readings on the left-hand side. Okay, so we don't do both pages that are open before you at the same time. 146. I invite you to rise if you are comfortable in doing so. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMeorah, Baruch Adonai HaMeorah le'olam va'ed. So turning to 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv harabim, v'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, u'bitvuna meshaner etim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem, v'rakia le'chesodom, boreyom v'layla, v'leil or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'meimi layla, u'ma'avdil bein yom u'bein layla, Adonai tziva'ot shemo. El Chai Chayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Ha'aravim. And on 150, everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah, mitzvot, laws, and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove our love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Seated. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lavcha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu Atem Kedoshim Leloichem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Le'yot Lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Amen. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior who delivers us from oppressors' hands, saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels that beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before the Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people out from their midst to freedom for all time, and when your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude. They accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang together, lifting their voices joyously. La 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 Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ba'al Yisrael. Middle of page 160 together. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace. Raise us up, O guardian, to life with you. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haborei sukkot shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. This is an arrangement of the Shamru by Craig Taubman from Los Angeles. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, בריתו עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, בריתו עולם. Keshet Yamim Asa Adonai Et Hashamayim Et Haaretz V'shamru B'Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat L'dorotav V'ritolam V'shamru B'Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat L'dorotav V'ritolam Uvayom Hashvihi Shabbat Vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat Vayinafash V'shamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat L'dorotav V'ritolam V'shamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat L'dorotav V'ritolam. Kind of jazzy. Our tefillah begins on page 164. Mike, would you do us the honor of opening up the floor? The first several pages we join together in chanting. The ark will be open. I invite you to rise if you're comfortable in doing so. Beginning on 164. Adonai Sabbatai Tifta Ufia Tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Gadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, Zocher Chasdei Avot B'Imahot, U'mei B'Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo V'Yahva, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol atah Ram Le'Hoshia, Morid atah, Mechalkel Chayim Be'Chesed, Mechayei Hakol Be'Rachayim Rabim, Sahomer Noflim Be'Rochei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mechayim Emunato, V'Shenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Yurot, U'Midom Me'elav, Melech V'Gid U'Mechayim, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman atah Chayot Kol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei Hakol. Atah Kadosh v'Shivcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim b'Kol Yom Yomenu V'Asera. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You may remain standing or be seated, whichever is more comfortable for you. Continue silently through the remainder of the Shemona Esrei, the Tefillah, through page 181. Through 181. Again, Hebrew, English, Don't have to read every single word. Just choose one of the 4 choices. Custom at this point in our worship is that our thoughts and our prayers turn to those of our friends, members of our families, those members of our community, those who are ill, those who are alone, those who are in pain, those who are hospitalized or facing or recovering from surgeries and procedures. We pray on their behalf for healing and wholeness, refuah nefesh, refuah guf. We ask God to bless all those of the healing professions. May they be granted the wisdom and the skill and the patience to respond and help in the healing of which we all are in need. And may God grant to all of us a sense of renewal and refreshment and recreation of soul on this Shabbat. Before we join in singing, as is our tradition, our minhag, as we say, Debbie Friedman's interpretation of the Misha Berach traditional prayer of healing It's in the middle of page 371 in the brackets, and then 371. As my eyes come through the sanctuary, if there are those whose names you wish to mention publicly or privately, but we join with you in prayers for their healing, for their wholeness, for refuah, for shalemut. If you are mentioning a name out loud, we would ask that you only include a first name or the Hebrew name in that case, please.
Michael.
Mark.
David. Lisa.
Sarah. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us sing. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Sadly, for the last few weeks, if not months, one of the special prayers for Israel that I've been sharing is this prayer for those sitting in safe rooms. Sadly, hundreds, if not thousands, of our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel still are spending their Shabbat. They even spent Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day, in their shelters and safe rooms. This particular prayer was written by Rabbis Mira Regev and Levi Wyman Kelman. Ribono shel olamim, Master of all worlds, you live in the heavens and yet are close to those of us on the land. Be with us now in this time of fear and in this time of hope. Strengthen the spirit of all who are huddled in safe rooms, children and adults. Fill their hearts with patience, the ability to endure. Preserve the free human spirit amongst us even at this time. Help us find an expansive heart and faith even in this time of terror and stress. May we fulfill the verse of Micah, each person under their vine and fig tree without being troubled. Restore our security and tranquility in our homes forever. Spread a sukkah of shalom over us. Spread your shield of security and protection over us. Even as there are thundering sounds around, may the verse be fulfilled of the psalmist. May there be shalom in your homes and tranquility in your houses. Take care of those protecting us on land or sea. Strengthen our dedicated defense forces and rescue units as they put themselves at risk. Heal all the wounded in body and spirit. May we merit seeing the vision of Isaiah. V'chitatu charvotam le'itim. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Let them study war no more. And we all say, Amen. turn back, if you need the words, to the bottom of page 180. Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Ve'yimeru, Amen. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Well, not all of you may know that earlier this week, my wife Lynn was admitted through the emergency room in the hospital and had very quickly had a pacemaker installed to save her life. She's doing well, thank you. But one of the words that kept running through my mind in all of the private time that I had to spend, and because of some of the actions and the reach out from friends, but more importantly from our neighbors up and down the street and around the corner and whatever, and I kept on focusing on that word neighbor. Couldn't figure out exactly why until I remembered that last weekend we just read in the Torah, V'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? There it was. I should have known. It was my bar mitzvah portion. And this is my birthday time, so okay, I should have known. Anyway, I wanted to share some thoughts. And some research that I've done, and some of it is based on a little drash, a little interpretation from Rabbi Castle Abelson, who I believe was in the Washington, D.C. area. I believe, conservative rabbi. The portion that we read last week is really very familiar to almost all of you, not because it was my bar mitzvah portion, but because we read it on Yom Kippur afternoon. Many of you know it as the Holiness Code, chapter 19 of Leviticus, that includes that phrase, V'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. And though that phrase is found in our Bible, it's not exclusively Jewish teaching. Quite the contrary. It's also found in many other religions, obviously, not just Christianity and Islam, but also the religions of the Orient have the similar phrase, Buddhism and Confucianism. So in the face of the universal importance given to this phrase, this mitzvah, this teaching by all religions, it's kind of surprising to realize, although if you think about it, it's not so surprising because Jews don't always agree, right? Okay? That there's great debate about that particular phrase. Okay? Love your neighbor as yourself. Right? You might remember the name Rabbi Akiva. Okay? Akiva is one of the most famous teachers 2,000 years ago. He lived in the end of the first and the beginning of the second century of the Common Era. Now, Akiva went so far as to say, who he asked his students, and like in a good Socratic method, he asked his students, they had to suggest their answers, and his answer was, love your neighbor as yourself is the most important verse in the Torah. Okay? It also, incidentally, happens to be right near the middle of the Torah. If you open up, and we've done that, right? When we had our new Torah, we opened it up all the way. If you focus on where the middle of the Torah is, it's right near that sentence. Not exactly there, but very, very close. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's Rabbi Akiva. His, let's call him a colleague rather than an opponent, all right, or an adversary. His colleague, Ben Azai, said, no, the greatest teaching in the Torah is a phrase from Genesis. Zeh Sefer Toldot Adam. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created human beings, in God's likeness are we all created. You remember that phrase too, right? Why was it that Ben Azai disagreed with what seems to be an almost universal acceptance and belief and opinion? Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself was the most important, the most supreme ethical teaching. Well, and I gleaned this from Rabbi Abelson, I can't just say it on my own. It seems that Ben Azai's dissent was not based upon a doubt about the value of loving your neighbor, but rather on defining who is your neighbor. And that's where I was focusing all week, and what characteristics really make a neighbor. Okay. Anyway, all right. Neighbor is a difficult word to define, even living now 2,000 years later. When we use the word neighbor, to whom are we referring? Those who are geographically close, they live on North Keys Road? Okay. Or around the corner? In the same neighborhood? In our city? Can someone who lives back in Michigan be considered still a neighbor? We all know that the man next door is not automatically our neighbor, nor am I automatically his neighbor. Neighborliness and neighborhood often do not coincide. Someone who lives 1,000 miles away may be closer than the person who lives next door. Geography then does not give us a definition of the word neighbor. And incidentally, I have to add on here, and Marilyn, I think, heard this actually, that our next door neighbor, the woman who lives next door, had the exact same issue and surgery that Lynn had 2 days earlier.
Wow.
It's in the water, right?
Yeah.
Now there's another alternative with that word kamocha, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Okay? Perhaps when we use the word neighbor, we mean those who are like you. Kamocha is often translated as like you, right? Who have the same skin color, or the same culture, or belong to the same political party. Is that really what it means, like you, from a Jewish point of view? I think we all agree no. Ben Azai undoubtedly experienced the same difficulty in defining who his neighbor was. So he offered another principle. He chose, you remember, as the most important sentence in the Torah, Zeh Toldot Adam. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created human beings, in the likeness of God, were they created, were we created. B'Tselem Elohim is the Hebrew phrase. Now there are two important lessons then contained in this statement. The first refers back to the tradition. And if you remember back, this is not this week's Torah portion, but I know that you've all read this at one time or another. In the story of creation, all the animals, the birds, the creepy crawly things, all of them were created in large numbers. But Adam was the one and only human created from the beginning. So the rabbis ask, why should God have created only one person? And they answer, this would make it impossible for any one individual to consider himself superior to another by virtue of ancestry. If we're all descended from one man, then no one can say, my family is better than yours. Actually, the phrase is, my blood is redder than yours. That's the phrase from the Talmud. My family tree is old. Quite the contrary. Since we are all descended from the same, all our brothers and sisters, all our children of one ancestor. Ben Azai's first lesson then, in indicating his statement should be the most important. The lines that divide us are less important than those which make us connected as fellow human beings. But this is only half of his teaching. The other half is contained in the metaphor of B'Tselem Elohim, that we are all created in the image of God. The Judeo-Christian tradition derives a principle that life then is sacred, that each individual has a right to life, to liberty, to the enjoyment of God's world. Those rights are inalienable, conferred to us by God, and not by the state or by social contract. And one further lesson. This was our right to be different. Points to the contrast between an earthly king and the king of the universe. What they said, Melech Basar Vadam, a king of flesh and blood, as opposed to Melech Malchei Hamlachim, the king, the Holy One, King of Kings, right? A monarch issues coins upon which his own image, well, no comments. But, all right, well, a monarch issues coins upon which he stamps his own image. No matter how many coins he issues, or passports, is that the latest? They're all alike, every single one. But when God the King stamps an image upon millions of human beings, no two are exactly alike. So the difference among humanity, neighbors if you will, is that we are recognized as God-given as different and as uniquely different, with every right to be different. So, Rabbi Castle Abelson, I'm going to quote, Ben Azai gave us a far richer principle upon which to base our ethics of human relationship. He supplied to us an answer to the question, who is our neighbor? Teaching us that despite differences, the human race is one family, descended from a common parent. He made the standard of our relations to our fellow not the emotional and variable one of love, as Akiva did, but the objective recognition that all have certain God-given rights which no one is free to deprive us of, including the right to be different. So having learned that all of us are neighbors, endowed with the same God-given dignity that we are then in a better position to love each other as we love ourselves. I thought it was a very, very interesting teaching, even though even though my answer, of course, is love your neighbor and give thanks for all that they have done to help us out in difficult times. We continue with our prayers of Aleinu, adoration. At the bottom of page 586, in the brackets 586, the ark will be open. I invite you to rise if you're comfortable in doing so. We'll chant the first paragraphs together. Aleinu l'shaveh l'adon ha'kol, l'atei v'dilal yosef reshi, shelo asanu goyei ha'arzot, velo samanu b'mishtachot ha'adamah, shelo sam elkeinu kahem, v'gohar aleinu b'chol ha'onam, v'anachnu goyim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, v'lefnei melech Malchei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shemunot Hashamayim v'Yosei Haaretz, Moshe Yekaro Hashamayim V'Mal, U'Shchinatu Zo, U'Shchinatu Zo, V'Kovek Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Eino, Emet Malkeinu Emet Zulato, Hakatu b'Torato, v'yadata hayom, hashivota el bavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim imah, ve'al haaretz, mitachas eino. 591. As a Kihila Kedosha, as a holy community, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones and those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked. They died al Kiddush Hashem, victims of natural disasters around the world, as well as innocent victims of senseless acts of hatred and terrorism and racism, anti-Semitism around the world. Those who have given their lives in the service of forces of decency and democracy, on behalf of our country, the United States, and the State of Israel. Those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. We remember them. We meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. We remember loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, even during this past month. We honor the memory of our friend Jerry Belenker, and we honor the memories of those who have gone to their eternal home during this past year. We remember Sarah Beth Benish, Howard Brody, Eldon Clark, Grace Farrar, Helene Feldman, Phil Fix, Ruth Gossman, Dr. Israel Hannon, Carol Heller, Nancy Karsh, Darren Shapiro, Sabra Schechter, Alice Tenenbaum, Stuart Tobin, and John Ryan Weston. We mourn as well some 2,000 Israeli men, women, children, hostages, and soldiers who have been killed in terrorist attacks, subsequent battles in Israel, Lebanon, and Gaza, now added victims of the latest conflict against Iran and Hezbollah. as well as thousands of innocent civilians and bystanders who have been in harm's way during this most recent tragic war. And we express our grief and sadness at continuing gun violence in our own country that has led to so many lives being lost, especially among the young. As well, we honor the memories of those, the anniversary of whose death, their yahrzeit, we observe at this season. We remember Julius Anser, David Brandy, Curtis Burns, Lorraine Cohn, Kathy Gallant, Hermine Kornfeld, Jack Lerner, Sam Miller, Naomi Roman, and Mary Ellen Schwartz. Are there others whose names anyone would wish to add? Zichronam livracha, their memories are a blessing. As well, we honor the memories of those of our people who perished in the Shoah, and countless others whose names are unknown, for whom there is no one to recite their Kaddish. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598, in the brackets, 598. Our tradition is that we rise in sympathy with those who mourn and recite words hallowed by centuries of faith. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, v'yalmad divrachu te v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayecho v'Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman karim v'imru amen, yehi shmei Rabba v'barak v'lam Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei k'ushal rechu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechlata v'nechemata, da'amirat v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlom rabba min shamayim chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'brama, u'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol bnei adam v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to those amongst us who mourn, and may God, in answer to our prayers, bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. And let us say, Amen. Amen. Please be seated. And after we conclude, of course, we'll adjourn together to the back of the room. There's wine, there's grape juice. We can make motzi with the challah and enjoy Oneg Shabbat. Allow me to thank those who participated and assisted this evening in no particular order. Start with the back. John Halloran was our shomer. Appreciate keeping us safe. Bobby Vishner was our greeter. And announcements and security and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Okay. All right. Ruth Ann helped with the technology this evening. Sunette helped light and bless our Shabbat candles. Appreciate that. Mike, on a moment's notice, was called up to the yard. Donna helped set up the, and Chris. Okay. Chris and Donna.
And also Marty.
And Marty. Thank you, Marty, too. Okay. Thank you all for whatever it is that you...
For being here.
And for being good neighbors, right? Okay. One of my, I honestly don't remember which one, but one of my classmates in yeshiva, we have to, in our senior year, before ordination, you might know this, every rabbinic student has to prepare a sermon and present it to the faculty as well as the student body. In my day, back in the early 70s, we called it sermon emasculation. Technically, it was sermon evaluation, but it was a very, very difficult time. As I don't remember, one of my classmates, I don't remember who it was, but his student sermon was based on the same V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha But his message, and I share it to you, I wish I could say it was in his name, it definitely was a him, it wasn't a her. I wish I could say whose name it was, said that for him, the most important message is that you can't love your neighbor until you love yourself. Okay? So the self-esteem, the self-respect, the self-confidence, the self-love is what allows you then to extend that love and care and whatever to others. So I'll add that on to the comment that we made before. Adon Olam is on page 625. 625 in the brackets. Which version? I heard that.
No, I said I wouldn't guess.
Okay.
You taught me a couple of new ones tonight, which is unusual.
It's the Argentinian. Adon Olam, Asher Malam, B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra, Le'nasa v'chefetzo kol, Azai melech Shemo Nivra. Ve'acharei kiflot hakol, Levado yimlok nora, Ve'hu haya, Ve'hu hover, Ve'hu yeh, V'tifara. Ve'hu echad, Ve'en sheni, Lehamshir lo le'achmira, Ve'li reshit, Ve'li tachlit, Ve'lo ha'oz, Ve'ha'mizrah. Ve'hu eli, Ve'chai goli, Ve'sur herli, Ve'et tzara, Ve'hu nisi, U'manos li, Menat mosi, Ve'yom ekra. Ve'yado apid ruhi, Ve'eti shad me'ayira, Ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai, Elohim. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Don't worry. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos. Join us in the back for our next Shabbat, please.